Well, if you're not convinced it's some new ways for a new day in the United Methodist Church, maybe today we'll point that out because we've been looking at the distinctive practices of the United Methodist Church. And one of the primary motivations for pastor-led disaffiliations in our recent separation in the United Methodist Church is the practice we're dealing with today. You see, many congregations disaffiliated as a result of being led to make this decision by their pastor. They were pastor-led disaffiliations. Many of these pastors were not educated in United Methodist seminaries. Many of these pastors previously were members of other denominations. And in visiting with many of these pastors through the years, it's clear that they were opposed to the practice we're dealing with this week, and that is the practice of the United Methodist Church is sending. In a nutshell, the practice of sending looks like this. When a bishop is elected by a gathering of 50% lay and 50% clergy, that person as a bishop is sent to serve annual conferences. And annual conferences is where pastors hold their membership. And from the conference, pastors are sent to serve local congregations. Pastors serve local settings of ministry where laity have church membership. Laity are taught and motivated by pastors. From the local congregations, laity are sent to be agents of God's love in their homes, community, places of work, places of play. You see, it's all about sending. Bishops are sent to areas. Pastors are sent to local churches. Laity are sent into the world to serve. Sending places the authority for ministry and mission in the community, not the individuals. Now, many pastors do not want to be sent. They prefer a local congregation to call them to serve rather than a conference sending them to serve. And regardless of all the misinformation which was used to promote disaffiliation, pastor-led disaffiliations were often led by pastors who want to be independent, self-determined pastors rather than apostles sent to serve by a community of faith. Now, I'm not saying that the sent system of deploying bishops, clergy, and laity is better than the call system. A case can be made for both systems, but I am saying that the two systems are different. And the United Methodist Church in 2024 clearly made the choice to follow the practice of the community sending clergy to serve the laity who are sent from the local congregation to serve in their world. Now, the life of Jesus is helpful in underscoring this practice of sending. Jesus had the self-understanding of being sent by God to reveal God's love in a love-forsaken world. The disciples were sent by Jesus to serve those who would never call. Paul did not answer a call to spread the gospel of love to the region of the Mediterranean Sea. Those folk had never heard of Jesus. Why would they call? Rather, Paul was sent by the early community to spread the gospel to those who had never heard. The early circuit riding preachers of the Methodist movement that planted congregations every 5-7 miles apart across the Midwest, they were not called by the frontier to come. They were sent by existing communities of faith to the frontier to serve. 150 years ago, the children on the street, many of whom were orphans, did not call the Methodist Church and make their needs known. No, there wasn't any call. However, the Methodist Church sent clergy and laity into the streets to reach those children through the Sunday school movement, which began in the mid-19th century. 100 years ago, laborers who worked in inhumane settings did not call the church for assistance, but the Methodist Church, without a call, sent laity and clergy to stand with workers throughout the world. Sending, as a practice of the United Methodist Church, is always referenced in the teachings of Jesus. Remember what he said in as much as you do it to the least of these, you do it to me. Even those who have no voice to call. John Mason North was a great poet, great thinker, and he tells the story of sending so well in the hymn "Where across the crowded ways of life, where sound and cries of race and clan above the noise of selfish strife, we hear your voice. Till all the world shall learn your love and follow where your feet have trod, till glorious from your heaven above shall come the city of our God." Being sent to serve, even where we're not called. To be sure, sending places you and places me in experiences of discomfort, unease, sometimes pain, sometimes suffering. But along with those experiences is knowing we don't serve alone. The community has our back, and the love of God has our hearts. Again, let me repeat in terms of the practice of sending and being sent. The community of faith has our back, and the love of God has our hearts. There's so many benefits of faith sending a disciple to serve. You have the benefits of the prayers of the community, the support of the community, the resources of the community, the wisdom of the community, and you have that place where you can always return. You see, sending as a practice offers a watering hole for those who serve. You know what the watering hole for a bishop is? The Council of Bishops. You know what the watering hole for United Methodist clergy is? The annual conference. You know what the watering hole for the laity is? Your local church. You see, the practice of deployment in the United Methodist Church proclaims loud and clear discipleship is not a journey of one alone. It is the community of faith together serving through and with each other. It's all about sending forth to serve. Yes, it's really clear to me that if a person is uncomfortable with sending and being sent as a practice of the church, they're going to be uneasy in the United Methodist Church. And I might add with this practice, it must be said that because of the window of disaffiliation, many who were uncomfortable with sending have already left. And on the positive side, 75% of the United Methodist Church in 2024 proclaimed a resounding yes to the practice of sending as our chosen way to serve. For our thought and conversation, first of all, what are your positive and negative stories of sending disciples to serve? Secondly, what are your positive and negative stories of the call system of service? What is your response to the notion that if disciples wait for a call to initiate servanthood, those who are invisible or have no voice are never served? And finally, as laity in the United Methodist Church, in what ways is your local congregation your watering hole where you are replenished for service? Thank you for continuing the journey with us.